Today on TSN, we'll tell you about new Russian terrorist attacks in Kyiv, about a suspect in a murder who shot himself, and about a Russian radio factory now under investigation by the Security Service of Ukraine. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch our broadcasts, and be sure to leave your comments. And here are the most important topics this Thursday. A terrifying night in Kyiv. Russia is once again killing civilians in their own homes.
It hit and everything got me.
Where the enemy missiles and drones were aimed, and how people were rescued from under the rubble of the apartment building. Arguments in parliament, protests in the streets.
We stood, we stand, and we will keep standing.
How the deputies voted to restore independence to the anti-corruption agencies, and how the president responded. They removed a metal fragment that had pierced the brain.
What's the man's name? Vlad.
In Dnipro, doctors operated on a pregnant woman who was injured during the strike on Kamyansk. Were they able to save the baby? At least 13 people were killed by the Russians in Kyiv last night. Among them was a 6-year-old boy who died in the ambulance. They couldn't save him. The police are currently checking information about missing persons. After the enemy attack, about 10 reports have been filed. In the evening, the Ministry of Internal Affairs stated that 93 people were injured, including 11 children. Nearly 30 people are in hospitals, among them 5 kids. In the capital, as a result of the enemy's combined drone and missile attack, there was extensive damage to residential infrastructure in the Solomiansky, Sviatoshinsky, Shevchenkivsky, and Holosivsky districts. Several buildings were left without electricity. The world has once again seen Russia's response to our desire for peace with America and Europe. New demonstrative killings. President Zelensky said. Meanwhile, the rescue operation after the large-scale Russian combined attack is ongoing. Emergency service workers continue to clear the rubble of the apartment building in the Sviatoshinsky district. A Russian missile destroyed an entire entrance of the building there. They're trying to find survivors under tons of construction debris. TSN correspondent Valeria Kovalinska is reporting in more detail from the scene.
Why are you killing people, children, huh? Why are you killing, not letting us live? Oh, God.
Ms. Katerina and her son are keeping watch near the building in the Sviatoshinsky district of Kyiv, where a Russian ballistic missile destroyed an entire entrance. They themselves were in their first-floor apartment during the explosion. Their neighbors saved them. Their daughter, son, and 2 grandchildren remain trapped under the rubble.
I didn't feel anything. I just grabbed the handles. Because it was dark, nothing. The apartment was dark. My son, your daughter, the son survived, only me, and the daughter, and the son, and 2 grandchildren. So, it's a pity. Oh God, this is a tragedy for me, a tragedy. I wish I had been there instead. I wish I had been there, and the children were alive.
I can say one thing, that, the enemy missile, hit directly somewhere around the 5th floor. You can see to my right, the leaves on the trees are burned. That's exactly,
The trajectory.
The trajectory of this missile's fall, which hit this building. A 6-year-old boy who, unfortunately, was rescued, but they fought for him, for his life. Doctors provided medical assistance for more than 2 hours, but sadly, they couldn't save him.
The clearing of the rubble is still ongoing at the site. In total, more than 300 rescuers and 65 units of equipment have been involved in eliminating the consequences in Kyiv.
There are also dog handlers working, who help the rescuers find both, possibly living people and the bodies of the deceased. Engineering equipment is working in tandem, and both mechanized and non-mechanized tools are being used. These kinds of debris removal operations are like precision work, almost like jewelry making. The state emergency service units always work practically until the very end to make absolutely sure that, there are no people left under the rubble.
One of the men was found during the announced moment of silence. He had fallen from the 2nd floor to the 1st. There, he was trapped by concrete structures. To reach the victim, rescuers cut a tunnel through the wall of the neighboring apartment.
It was him that the rescuers from the Mobile Rapid Response Rescue Center were saving. This center, I would say, is like the special forces of the State Emergency Service, who specifically deal with and are experts in clearing debris. We immediately handed him over to the medics. You saw, the ambulance was there.
Unfortunately, they are also retrieving the bodies of the deceased. The Kyiv Animal Rescue Team found 3 cats in the building. The deputy commander of the Red Cross Rapid Response Team shows them to TSN in the car.
I feel so good. You shouldn't have left. Come on, run over here to me.
This was found by the carriage service. We cooperate with them, and we always call them whenever there are any animals at a site where a strike has occurred. So they bring them to us while they're, for example, taking other animals to the vet or continuing to search for animals. We keep them with us, and together we look for their owners like this, putting up flyers.
And this is already the Solomiansky district of the capital, one of the buildings in Vedradnia. A missile also hit this building. On one of the buildings here, there's a symbolic drawing, a Neptune missile striking a Russian warship. The Ukrainian flag stood firm. A volunteer construction battalion is helping here to deal with the aftermath of the Russian attack.
Right now, together with the criminal services, we're cutting plywood, helping to board things up, assisting the State Emergency Service, clearing debris and rubble, talking to people, and recording what kind of help they need. Mostly, it's boarding up windows and clearing out debris from the strikes. This is key. It's rapid response.
This is another location in Solomiansky district that was hit by the Russians. Here, too, houses and cars have been damaged.
My son came home leaf-frogged. Got concussion second time.
And the medical facility.
I had just come back when the bell rang. Came home, and then this happened.
In Kyiv, August 1st has been declared a day of mourning for those killed in today's attack by the Russian Federation. Valeria Kovalevska, Natalka Nahorna, and Mikhailo Pachetov. TSN 1+1.
The girl was thrown out from the 9th floor. She survived, but with a broken leg. A man ruptured his spleen, but managed to get out of the destroyed apartment on his own. And these are just 2 of the stories of those affected by today's Russian attack. All the wounded are under medical supervision. About a dozen people are in serious condition in intensive care units, including police officers who were also injured in the attack. TSN correspondent Alina Hushchik visited the intensive care unit. Next, watch without commentary.
You could hear the explosions, but I thought it was farther away. Well, as always. When I woke up, I was right by the window. And it turns out, right next to my bed on the right, there was just this huge hole. And there were cars burning and so on.
He got out by himself, but they brought him to us in very serious condition because he had a massive spleen rupture. And he arrived with very low blood pressure, in critical condition, but it's okay.
He just flew out from the 9th floor. His leg was broken and, well, a tooth just fell out. I was conscious. I was just sleepy and didn't understand what was happening. I heard the explosion, and a second later I was on the ground. I don't know how that's even possible, how you could fly, fall 9 floors, and end up with just a broken leg. Most likely, I was actually sitting on the bed and just fell down with it, and that's why I didn't get hurt, because the bed is soft. I don't know what's going on with my dad or my mom. I have no idea at all where they are or what's happened to them.
As a result of last night's attack, 34 victims came to the facility, and the vast majority of them, specifically 28, were hospitalized by ambulance. And 6 of the victims came in on their own, brought by friends, acquaintances, or relatives in private cars. They were brought to our hospital. Out of the patients who were hospitalized, 6 are in serious condition. All of them have undergone surgery. Some of them, in fact, are still undergoing surgical procedures. Overall, the patients are in more serious condition than they were during the previous 2 shellings. That is, there are severe injuries to the abdominal organs, ruptured spleens, injuries to the limbs, chest organs, soft tissue injuries, as usual, to the lower and upper limbs, head, and torso.
Enemy drones and missiles also damaged the main mosque of Muslims in Ukraine. This was reported on social media by the Mufti of the Spiritual Administration of Muslims of Ukraine, Imamirat Suleimanov, who also published photos. There isn't a single intact window left in the mosque. All the glass was blown out, and in the building of the gymnasium for children from families who practice Islam, which is located one floor above, right above the mosque, the blast wave destroyed the shop selling Eastern goods. One of them sold incense. Because of this, the scent of perfume now fills several blocks around the mosque. While the building is being repaired, the traditional prayers 5 times a day are held right out on the street. According to the Mufti, the Muslim community of Ukraine is currently doing everything possible to share information abroad, especially in Islamic countries, about the true face of the Russian world.
Here is the Russian world. See it and appreciate who is supposedly protecting you.
We won't be able to replace all the windows, but it's also very important for all Muslims, all believers, to come and see the consequences of this aggression. And also for our partners who want to show just how cynical Russia is, how much Russia wants to destroy Ukraine.
Keith Kellogg's daughter, the American Special Representative for Ukraine, wrote about the massive attack on the Ukrainian capital. Since the beginning of the full-scale war, Megan Mop's Foundation has been providing humanitarian aid to our country. She often comes here. Kyiv is under a massive drone attack, Megan wrote at first. Make no mistake, this is Putin's response to President Trump's ultimatum. He's once again testing American strength and resilience. And in the morning, she added this.
And then there were also Russian missiles. But only after civilians had left the bomb shelters and gone back to their homes. Russia is sending a calculated message to America and the West. We're not afraid of you.
The NBU and SAP have regained their independence. The president has already signed the bill that was passed today by a constitutional majority in the Verkhovna Rada. 331 votes in favor. The document restores to the anti-corruption agencies the powers they had just 9 days ago, before the scandalous decision by Parliament and the President. Today's emergency session of the Rada took place to the sound of protests on Hrushevsky Street and was marked by loud incidents. In particular, Deputy Vlasenko showed a colleague the middle finger. TSN journalist Dmitro Ferdak found out exactly who it was directed at.
Today, instead of gathering with cardboard signs near Ivan Franko Theater, people are positioning themselves closer to the Verkhovna Rada. The protesters line up along Hrushevsky Street, which is the route MPs take to get to Parliament.
Vote! Vote!
The loud chants are reinforced by slogans on cardboard signs, the main symbol of the current protest.
We want the presidential bill to be passed, the one that will restore the independence of NABU and SAP.
Some opposition MPs are also joining the protest. In particular, Volodymyr Vyatrovich doubts that the leadership of the Rada will dare to broadcast the session live. And he agrees that the people's protest was one of the decisive factors in putting pressure on the authorities.
These protests are extremely important because they show that, even though the country is at war, people still care about what's happening inside.
Meanwhile, quite unexpectedly, the deputies decide for the first time since the start of the full-scale war, despite security risks, to broadcast live from under the dome. And right away, viewers recognize the good old Ukrainian parliament. Members of the same party, Servant of the People, Vladlen Neklyodov and Hennedy Kasai, exchange shoves.
Lozinski, can we do it after the budget, as you say? After the budget, fine.
Yulia Tymoshenko's ally, Serhiy Vlasenko, gives another deputy the middle finger.
Black is black, and white is white. And that's that.
Who exactly becomes clear at the end of the session. But for now, let's get to the main topic of the day. MP Dmytro Kostup says he is ashamed of the Servant of the People vote a week ago, and shots with a statement.
I am leading the Servant of the People parliamentary faction.
Former journalist and majoritarian from Zhytomyr region, Koztuk explains. He still supports President Volodymyr Zelensky, but says he can no longer put up with the trends within the faction.
Many of you witnessed how, instead of an answer, I recently got, and I quote, "There are only two brave people like that in our country, you and Shabunin." Before that, Shabunin's place was searched by the State Bureau of Investigation. Obviously, this is the kind of response that means don't ask unnecessary questions, or else.
There are more than enough votes in the chamber to restore the independence of NABU and SAP. This was understood long before the vote. So the deputies are using the time allotted to them by law for eloquence.
And I've learned to take a hit even if a tsunami is coming my way.
The two female MPs are the most memorable. Yulia Tymoshenko questioned the education level of the protesters.
I fully and completely support the people who took to the streets. But they came out without knowing what NABU and SAP are. They came out against the fight against corruption.
And the very anti-corruption agencies that Ukraine really did create as a prerequisite for European integration, Tymoshenko compared to a dog's leash.
There's a very cruel method of training dogs where they put an electric collar on them, and when the dog crosses the boundary, a button is pressed and the dog immediately falls in line. And you know, I'll tell you, the dog feels absolutely comfortable. She thinks that this is real life, and she lives by the rules.
The notorious Mariana Bazula chose a minor but striking role, that of a moving ticker.
And here's another crazy Bazula who voted for this together with you. Do you at least understand now what a disgrace you've caused?
From the former mono majority, the floor is taken by the faction leader, David Arakemia. He simply and concisely asked the deputies to support the president's bill, which the parliament does with a constitutional majority.
In favor, 331. The decision is adopted. The law is adopted as a whole.
Protesters outside the Rada greet the voting results with applause. Already after today's session, one of the servants of the people, Alexis Marinetsky, called a vote to strip NABU and SAP of their independence a tragic political mistake. He says the deputies didn't know what they were voting for, and now, supposedly, their political force will live in a new way.
It was a mistake. It was a very tragic mistake. I'll tell you what happened at the faction meeting today. It was really heated, and this situation will lead to changes in the internal workings and decision-making rules within the faction. The head of the faction apologized to his colleagues for the breakdown in internal faction procedures. He was thanked for his honesty, for finding the strength to apologize.
And about Serhiy Vlasenko's middle finger. The European Solidarity faction demanded either an apology from him or punishment for his unethical behavior. Neither the first nor the second happened. But in response to the accusation, Tymoshenko's ally makes it clear. The obscene gesture was directed at the fifth president of Ukraine.
I expressed my position regarding the Minister of Economy in Yanukovych's government, who is now hypocritically telling us here how he fought against Yanukovych. I expressed my position against the person who appointed a prosecutor general without a law degree in just one day.
Whether the next sessions of the Rada will be broadcast live is currently unknown. Meanwhile, activists near the parliament are leaving behind a wall of slogans with wishes for the authorities as a memento of their cardboard protest.
The power belongs to the people. The power belongs to the people.
Dmytro Ferdak, Iyer Bondarenko, Andriy Romanok, and Oleksiy Zulenko. TSN 1+1.
European Commission spokesperson Mer said that the EU will closely monitor Ukraine's further steps regarding reforms and confirmed that the EU does not plan to freeze funding for our country. European Commissioner for Enlargement Marta Kos notes that the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has corrected a decision that harmed the independence of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. But problems remain. She points out that the fight against corruption must be a priority. And Estonia's Foreign Minister Tsahkna called the vote a decisive step and a confirmation of Ukraine's European course. What do you think had the decisive influence that made the deputies and the president, in just a week, change their minds and effectively nullify their previous controversial law? Was it the protests in Ukrainian cities, threats from Western partners, or maybe some other arguments? Write everything you think in the comments below this episode. And of course, give us a like. Subscribe to the channel. I'm continuing the TSN broadcast. There are still plenty of important news stories ahead. In the Russian city of Penza, a radio factory belonging to the Rostec enterprise is on fire. This factory produces automated combat control systems for various branches of the aggressor state's military, including air defense and artillery. The factory was hit by long-range drones. During the raid, the Security Service of Ukraine recorded at least 11 explosions, after which a large-scale fire broke out. An informed source in the Security Service reports that, preliminarily, the new production complex of the factory and warehouse facilities with equipment have been hit. All public transport in the city was stopped due to the alert. Mobile internet was also disconnected. At least one person was killed and 11 more were injured. These are the consequences of Russian terror in Kramatorsk, Donetsk region. In broad daylight, the occupiers struck the city center, hitting a residential 5-story building directly. Half of the building has been completely destroyed. A search and rescue operation is underway there. All emergency services are working at the scene. It is also known that one of the injured is in serious condition.
Look at what's happening in Kramatorsk. This is the city center. The city center. Part of the building is gone and on fire.
In Sofiivka, which is also in Donetsk region, an enemy drone attacked civilians near a house, killing 2 and injuring 1. 4 bombs were dropped on Kostiantynivka. 3 city residents were injured. 3 people needed medical assistance in Bylitsk. In the Kharkiv region, in the village of Vasishchiv, the occupiers killed 1 person and wounded 8. They attacked warehouses with a missile. A security guard was killed. 6 more city residents were hospitalized. There is also an injured person in the village of Borshchova. And in Kupiansk, a woman was injured by an explosive device in her own garden. She is currently in the hospital. In the morning, an enemy drone attacked the Korabelny district of Kherson. 2 women suffered blast injuries. After the drone strike, a resident of Stanislav was also hospitalized, and 2 men were injured during the shelling of Tamina Baka and Bilazurka. 2 people were wounded in Sumy. The Russians once again struck the regional military administration building with a drone. An elderly woman and a 36-year-old man who were in the square were injured. This is already the 5th strike on the regional military administration in the past 7 days. A 17-year-old boy and a 64-year-old woman were wounded in Vasilivka, Zaporizhia region. The Russians dropped an aerial bomb on the village, destroying a private house. 3 more people were injured in Hilietol and Novoryhorivka. The enemy has not yet fully captured Kamiansk in the Zaporizhia region. There are Ukrainian positions on the outskirts of the settlement, and fighting is ongoing. This was reported by the Southern Defense Forces, refuting information about the alleged loss of the settlement. At the same time, according to the Deep State portal, the Russians have indeed taken control of Verkhnokamiensk, advanced near Ivano-Dorivka and Bila Ora, and are generally launching assaults in 10 directions. Since the beginning of the day, 66 combat clashes have already been recorded at the front, according to the General Staff, 28 of them in the hottest Pokrovsk sector. There, the occupiers tried to advance, in particular near Poltavka, Myrolobivka, Kotlin, Udakny, and in the direction of Rodinsk and Myrnharad. On the Novopavlivka axis, they launched assaults 10 times. The enemy also shelled border settlements in the Sumy region from Russian territory. Airstrikes were carried out in the Hiliepol direction, as well as near Bilohiria. That's already in the Zaporizhia region.